Have you ever found yourself stepping back from social situations, no longer enjoying the company of others the way you used to? If you're over 60, 70, or even 80, you're not alone. Many people reach a point in life where the pull of social gatherings starts to feel more like a burden than a pleasure. But why is this happening? And more importantly, is it something you should worry about? In this video, we're diving deep into the 6 powerful reasons why older adults, like yourself, may begin avoiding social settings, even if they once thrived in them. But don't worry, this isn't a tale of isolation or bitterness. It's about understanding a natural shift that comes with age, wisdom, and personal growth. As we age, our emotional and social needs evolve, and sometimes, the need for solitude or a quieter environment becomes more appealing than filling our time with meaningless chatter. By watching this video until the end, you'll uncover why these changes are not only normal but also healthy. You'll gain insight into how emotional fatigue, past betrayals, and the need for peace shape the choices you make about socializing. This video will help you understand that stepping back from certain people or situations doesn't mean you're withdrawing from life. It could mean you're growing stronger and more intentional about your time and energy. Stick with us to discover how this newfound clarity is one of the greatest blessings of getting older. Don't miss out. This could change the way you see your social life and personal growth. If you are not subscribed, subscribe and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. Number 1. The burden of past betrayals. As the years pass, we often forget that we don't just accumulate experiences and memories. We accumulate something far heavier: scars. Some are small, almost imperceptible, a fleeting disagreement here, a minor miscommunication there. But others, those are the ones that linger, etched into our hearts and minds like permanent reminders of pain. Breaches of trust. The sting of being dismissed when we needed to be heard. The vulnerability we offered, only to have it trampled on by the very people we trusted. As we grow older, those scars don't fade as easily. Instead, they become more prominent. They echo in the quiet moments of reflection, and we begin to hear them more clearly, more painfully. We stop throwing ourselves into relationships as effortlessly as we once did. Not because we've hardened our hearts with resentment, but because we've learned that not everyone has earned the sacred privilege of being close to us. Consider the story of Chloe Auer, an 81-year-old woman who once filled her home with warmth and laughter every weekend. For years, her house was a haven of music, the clinking of glasses, and conversations that lasted well into the evening. But as time went on, the faces around her table grew fewer. One friend betrayed her trust in a way that left an invisible mark. Another vanished from her life after her beloved husband passed, seemingly without a word or a care. It wasn't one massive betrayal, but a slow, steady stream of small heartbreaks that wore away at her spirit. Now, Chloe prefers her own company. She enjoys the peaceful solitude of her home, where the silence feels like a gentle embrace rather than a cold, lonely void. It's not that she dislikes people. No, she still loves people, but she values her peace far more than the noise of forced company. You see, as we grow older, something quietly shifts within us. A sort of invisible armor forms around our hearts, a shield forged from years of life's sharpest lessons. This armor might not always feel comforting or safe, but over time, we come to understand that it's not just necessary, it's essential. When you've lived long enough to witness the way people can change or disappear in the blink of an eye, you begin to guard your time, your heart, and your energy fiercely. It's not about becoming cold or bitter. It's about becoming discerning. It's about protecting the precious parts of you that have been worn down by past betrayals. Older adults, in particular, have often poured out love without hesitation. They've offered support, shared their wisdom, and opened their hearts, only to have those gifts rejected or taken for granted. It's in those painful moments that we learn to slow down. We begin to reflect more deeply, taking a step back when something feels off. We don't just listen to what others say anymore. We start listening to how we feel after they've walked away. Psychologists call this relational fatigue, a term that perfectly encapsulates that deep weariness that comes when maintaining connections begins to feel like a burden rather than a joy. It's especially common for those of us who have endured emotional hardships, and let me be clear, it's not something to be ashamed of. It's simply the result of living a full, rich life, one that has shown us both the beauty of human connection and the pain of betrayal. So, when we choose solitude over company, it's not because we're bitter or angry, it's because we've learned. We've learned that our hearts, after all these years, are delicate and precious. And not everyone deserves to have access to them. That's not a sign of weakness but of wisdom. It's the understanding that not every relationship is worth our time or energy anymore. Sometimes, the most loving thing we can do for ourselves is to say no to the noise and embrace the peace that comes with guarding our hearts. Number 2. The longing for peace over idle chatter. In your younger years, you may have sat through countless conversations that felt shallow, conversations where the words were merely an attempt to fill the silence, to pass the time with small talk, gossip, or empty chatter. There were days when you'd engage just to be polite, to blend in, and perhaps to feel a fleeting connection. But as you grow older, something changes. Your patience for these superficial exchanges begins to wither away. It's not that you've grown to dislike people. Quite the opposite. You've simply learned to treasure something far more profound: peace. A silence that once might have felt uncomfortable or even awkward now feels like a balm for your soul. It's not just quiet, it's restorative. The noise, once a constant companion, no longer holds any charm. And once you've tasted that kind of tranquility, it becomes nearly impossible to swap it for the fleeting satisfaction of idle conversation. Consider Henry, for example, a 76-year-old man who once thrived on interaction. Henry, a former salesman, was the kind of person who could talk to anyone, make friends effortlessly, and light up a room with his warmth and charm. But now, as the years have passed, Henry finds himself stepping back. He no longer craves the constant mingling at family gatherings or large parties. The noise, the small talk, the need to impress, it all feels draining. So now, when someone asks him why he often skips these events, he simply shrugs and says, "I'm done talking just to fill the air." It's not that Henry wants to be alone. Far from it. It's that he's come to cherish meaning. He seeks conversations that matter, those that are filled with sincerity, depth, and authenticity. He doesn't need to perform anymore, doesn't need to wear a mask, or pretend to care about things that feel irrelevant. He's no longer interested in noise just for the sake of noise. Instead, Henry finds more joy in moments of true connection, in real conversations, and in the stillness that offers a reprieve from a world that never stops talking. If these things aren't present, he'd rather curl up with a good book and a warm drink, savoring the quiet that allows him to just be. As we age, we begin to guard our emotional energy more carefully. The need to impress, to fit in, and to prove our worth to others, those pressures begin to fade. What remains is a hunger for truth, for what's genuine. We yearn for real connections, ones that don't require us to perform or wear a mask. When we don't find it, we become more selective about where we spend our time. We start to say no without guilt, without the weight of obligation. We protect our peace because, at this point in life, we realize how precious it is. And that's not withdrawal, that's growth. This isn't about turning away from the world or isolating ourselves. It's about intentionality. We begin to recognize that a single, meaningful conversation, a peaceful evening to ourselves, or the comfort of solitude can bring far more fulfillment than hours of forced, unimportant engagement. So, if you found yourself stepping back from gatherings, avoiding endless chatter, or skipping those big family events, remember this: you are not shutting down. You are waking up. You are becoming crystal clear about what nourishes you and what drains you. And that clarity, the ability to protect your emotional space, is one of the greatest gifts that come with age. Number 3. The sense that people don't get you anymore. There comes a pivotal moment in life when you look around, and everything seems different. The world you once knew has shifted, and somehow, so have you. The language others speak feels foreign, the beliefs and ideas they hold seem so far removed from yours, and the pace of everything, from the hurried conversations to the unrelenting expectations, becomes almost too much to bear. In the middle of this whirlwind, you may begin to feel invisible, unheard, or, worst of all, completely disconnected. It's not because you've done anything wrong or failed to adapt. It's because people just don't take the time to truly understand where you're coming from anymore. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Take Ella, a 79-year-old former school teacher, for example. She once reveled in the joy of spending hours with her younger relatives, sharing stories from her life. How she raised 5 children, kept a home running smoothly, worked full-time, and still made time to volunteer at her community center. These stories, these experiences, were her heart laid bare, her wisdom shared in the hopes of making a connection. But now, when she speaks, they listen, or at least they pretend to. They smile politely, but their eyes are glued to their phones, their minds far away. It's not intentional, and it's not malicious, it's just the product of disconnection. Over time, that disconnection deepens into something more isolating, almost unbearable. It doesn't happen overnight, but gradually, it feels like a gap, a vast canyon between her and those she once loved and nurtured. And like Ella, so many of us begin to feel that same loneliness, not because we're physically alone, but because we are emotionally isolated. This kind of loneliness is not about the absence of people around you. It's about the absence of truly being seen. You share a thought, and someone changes the subject. You express a concern, and they dismiss it as if it's just another trivial complaint. They don't see the depth of what you're saying. They don't hear the weight of your words. And after enough of these dismissals, these quiet rejections, something inside you begins to break. It's not that you no longer want to speak. It's that you begin to question whether anyone is even capable of understanding what you're saying. You begin to believe that maybe silence is the simpler, safer choice. Psychologists call this emotional invalidation, the quiet dismissal or minimization of your feelings, often without any explicit rejection. It happens in the small moments, the little exchanges that accumulate and erode your sense of belonging. But here's the truth. Your thoughts, your feelings, and your voice still hold immense value. Just because others fail to hear you doesn't mean you've lost your worth. It only means you've outgrown certain conversations and environments. And that's perfectly okay. It's not about forcing yourself into a world that no longer fits you. It's about finding new spaces and new people who will truly listen to you. People who don't just wait for their turn to speak, but who genuinely hear you, understand you, and appreciate what you bring to the table. And when those people are few and far between, it's natural to withdraw, to guard your energy, to seek solace in your own company. Because in those quiet, solitary moments, you are completely seen. Not by anyone else, but by yourself. And that, my dear, is never something you should feel guilty about. You are worthy of being heard, of being understood, and of finding peace in your presence. And if the world doesn't get you right now, it doesn't mean they ever will. But that doesn't make you any less worthy of love, connection, or belonging. Number 4. The fear of being a burden. As we grow older, there's a silent, often unspoken worry that quietly creeps in. It's not just the fear of getting sick or facing the inevitable realities of death. No, this is something deeper, more nuanced. It's the fear of becoming a burden to the very people we hold dear. It's a fear that you can't quite articulate, but it eats at you, gnaws at your heart, and lingers in the back of your mind every single day. This fear is so overwhelming because, deep down, it's rooted in love and pride. You don't want to disturb the lives of those you love. You don't want to disrupt their busy days or add any extra stress to their already overflowing plates. So, you pull back. You stay silent. You retreat into yourself. It's not about being stubborn, although it might seem that way to others. It's about respect. It's about not wanting to be a weight, a responsibility that someone else has to carry. It's about maintaining a sense of dignity and self-worth even as your world shrinks. You begin to say no to invitations, not because you don't want to join in, but because you fear that your presence might be an inconvenience. You avoid asking for help, not because you don't trust the people around you, but because you don't want them to feel like they have to rearrange their lives to accommodate you. And slowly, over time, your circle becomes smaller. You stop reaching out. You don't call as often. You don't accept invites to family gatherings. Take Herbert, an 84-year-old widower, for example. He used to spend every weekend surrounded by the warmth of his daughter's family, filled with laughter and love. But as his mobility began to decline, he started turning down their invitations more and more. His daughter never made him feel like a burden, but Herbert's fear of being a problem overshadowed his desire for closeness. When she gently asked him why he stopped coming over, he simply said, "I don't want them to have to change their whole routine for me. They've got their careers, their kids, their own lives. I don't want to be in the way." It's a heartbreaking reality for so many older adults. The more you need others, the more reluctant you become to ask for help. The more you value connection, the more hesitant you are to reach out, because for so long you've been the strong one. You've been the helper, the one everyone relied on, the one who was always there to offer support, wisdom, and comfort. But now, asking for help feels foreign. It feels like a loss of your identity, a step away from the self-sufficiency that has defined you. This fear, though, is not just about pride or independence. It's deeply human. A desire to be loved without conditions. To be cared for not out of duty, but because someone wants to, because they see your worth and value as a person. The fear comes from not wanting to impose, from worrying that your presence might somehow disrupt the harmony of someone else's life. But the truth is, the people who love you, they want to be there for you. They want to support you, even when they don't always know how to express it. Your value isn't tied to how self-reliant you can be. It's about who you are, your character, your history, your love. And if they truly care for you, they will never see your needs as a burden. They will see them as a privilege. But still, that fear lingers, casting a shadow over your actions. You hold back from speaking your mind, you stay home when you want to go out, and you sit in the background when you long to be a part of the conversation. And slowly, the walls between you and the world grow higher, because it seems easier to avoid the discomfort of needing someone than to face the vulnerability of leaning on them. But remember, it's okay to need others. It's okay to ask for help. And in doing so, you allow those who love you to honor you in ways you may never have imagined. Number 5. The quiet fading of old relationships. Some connections don't end with harsh words or dramatic goodbyes. Instead, they slowly fade away, like the setting sun slipping beneath the horizon. Life, in all its gentle nudges and unexpected turns, quietly pulls you apart from people who once filled your life with joy, laughter, and shared experiences. It's not a dramatic rupture, just a subtle drift. One that you hardly notice until, one day, you look around and realize that those familiar faces, those friendships you once relied on, are no longer part of your daily rhythm. There's something bittersweet about this kind of change. It's not always painful. Sometimes, it brings a sense of relief, even peace. But at other times, it leaves behind a quiet ache, a lingering sadness that whispers that something important has shifted, something you didn't expect. And yet, you can't quite put your finger on when it all started to change. Was it them? Was it you? Perhaps it was a little bit of both. It's like a soft, invisible unraveling, So gentle that it's easy to ignore until the tapestry of your life has changed without you realizing it. I think about Victoria, a 73-year-old woman who had once shared everything with her best friend from high school. Their bond had been so strong: weekly walks, long heart-to-heart conversations, endless laughter. But over time, those weekly strolls turned into monthly meetups, then yearly occasions, until one day there were no walks at all. There was no falling out, no words exchanged in anger, just an understanding between them, a mutual recognition that the connection had gradually faded. The rhythm of their lives had moved in different directions. Victoria admitted, "We still care about each other, but I think we've said everything we needed to say." And isn't that the truth? This kind of quiet loss is something many of us experience, yet we rarely talk about it. Friendships that once revolved around shared stages of life, raising children, building careers, being neighbors, often lose their significance when those seasons change. And when that shift happens, you may find that you're surrounded by people who no longer align with the person you've become. But here's the thing: this isn't a loss. It's growth, it's progress, even though it might feel like a small, painful goodbye. As you move deeper into your later years, you start to place more value on your time and energy. You begin to realize that your emotional currency is precious, and you can't spend it recklessly anymore. This doesn't mean you've outgrown your friends. It's not about them at all. It's about you, your evolution. Sometimes you realize that what you need most is space. Space to breathe, to simply exist without the weight of old expectations or strained conversations. And that's okay. It's more than okay. It's necessary. Old companions who once brought joy can start to feel like an exhausting presence. Conversations that once flowed effortlessly might now seem forced and uncomfortable. Instead of continuing to engage in relationships that no longer serve you, you choose to step back, not out of anger or resentment, but out of deep respect for yourself. You need space, not just physical space, but emotional space to find yourself again, to rediscover what it means to live on your terms. People often say that getting older means losing people. But what they don't say is that sometimes letting go is something you do willingly. You realize that proximity without real connection can feel lonelier than solitude itself. So, when you start to distance yourself from certain people, it's not about rejection. It's about honoring the shifts that are taking place inside you. You've changed. And that's not something to mourn. It's something to embrace. Number 6. The joy of being on your own. There comes a moment in life, a beautiful, almost sacred turning point when you no longer seek the company of others the way you once did. It's not born from pain, nor from loneliness, but rather from the profound understanding that many people never reach, the realization that your presence is more than enough. This is a quiet joy that settles deeply into your soul, a peace so rare and so profound that it reshapes your very essence. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself, to impress anyone, or to pretend to be someone you're not. And when you experience this shift, it feels like freedom, like the weight of the world lifting off your shoulders. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. For much of your life, you were probably surrounded by noise, work, family, commitments, responsibilities. The cacophony of daily life never really gave you the chance to pause, to sit in silence, to listen to your thoughts without the distractions of others. But then, one day, the noise starts to fade, and you find yourself in a peaceful stillness. And that stillness, once so unfamiliar, becomes sacred. It's not a void to be filled, but a space to be treasured. For the first time in years, you can truly hear your inner voice without interruption, and it is beautiful, profound, and deeply comforting. You start to recognize that the quiet is not something to run from, but something to preserve, protect, and honor. Let me tell you about James, an 82-year-old man who, in his younger days, was the life of every gathering. His home was always filled with laughter, his energy infectious, his social circle wide and bustling. But in the twilight years of his life, James has come to savor something more meaningful: solitude. His porch, once a place for socializing, has now become a peaceful haven where he watches the birds fluttering about. When asked if he ever feels lonely, James chuckles, a warmth in his eyes, and says, "I've got enough memories in my head to keep me busy for days." What James has found is not loneliness, but an indescribable peace that only comes with age, wisdom, and a deep sense of self. This shift is often misunderstood by those around you. People may worry that you are withdrawing from the world, that you are retreating out of sadness. But in truth, you're tuning into something far deeper. It's a rhythm, a soft, gentle rhythm of life that doesn't require validation or constant interaction. You no longer feel the compulsion to fill every silence, to justify every choice, or to constantly be available. And this is not detachment, it's insight. It's the wisdom that comes from a life spent giving, stretching, and showing up for others. You've lived enough to understand that there is no need to seek approval or validation from anyone anymore. Solitude, when it is a choice, is not a curse, but a refuge. It's the place where you recharge, where your thoughts can grow, where you reconnect with the very essence of who you are. The older you become, the more you realize that your most peaceful days are not spent in the company of others, but in the company of your thoughts. You move at your rhythm, follow your path, and do what feels right without fear or hesitation. And in those moments, for the first time in a long time, you finally feel whole again. Now, as we come to the end of this reflection, let me ask you this. What part of this resonated most deeply with you? Which of these 6 reasons touched you in a way that felt personal, as though it could have come directly from your own life? Perhaps it was the gradual fading of familial relationships, or maybe it was that profound moment when you realized that your need for peace no longer needed any justification. Whatever it was, I hope it reminded you of something important, something essential. You're not falling apart. You're transforming. Pulling back from others doesn't signify bitterness or rejection. It simply means you've grown wiser. Life has been your teacher, and those years have given you the privilege to be intentional with your time, to protect your peace, and to move at your own pace. It's a testament to the wisdom that comes with age and the strength it takes to honor your own needs. There is true honor in being alone. There's power in understanding your boundaries, knowing when to step back, and realizing that you don't have to fill every moment with noise or people. If you've been stepping away from others, take a moment to reflect on why. You may discover that what you're craving isn't distance, it's alignment with your true self. And let this video be a gentle reminder to you. Even in your pause, you are seen. Even in your silence, you are understood. And even in your solitude, you are never truly alone, because many others are walking this path with you. Quietly, steadily, with deep reflection, and a clearer sense of what truly matters. Thank you for spending this time with us today. We see you. We honor you. And we're with you every step of the way. As we come to the end of this journey, I want to take a moment to ask you, what have you learned from today's reflection? Which part of the story resonated with you the most? Perhaps it was the peaceful power of solitude or the realization that withdrawing from others doesn't mean you're lonely. It means you're embracing a deeper understanding of yourself. Whatever it was, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and leave a comment below this video about one thing you've learned today that you'll bring into your life. Whether it's embracing solitude, respecting your rhythm, or finding peace in your own company, share it with us. We're all on this path together. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please leave your comment below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Your support helps us continue creating meaningful content, and we'd love to keep walking this journey with you. Thank you for spending this time with us, and remember, you are never truly alone in this experience.